Ora, muito bem-vindos outra vez aqui a mais uma conversa na Road to the Rugby World Cup 2023. Hoje tenho comigo o Luís Pissarra, um dos treinadores da Seleção Nacional. Aliás, eu não gosto de usar a palavra treinador adjunto porque no Rugby Assistant Coach é um bocado diferente do que é um treinador adjunto no meio do futebol ou no handball, por exemplo. O programa de hoje eu comecei em português, mas vai ser em inglês até para cobrirmos mais pessoas e mais áreas, até para as pessoas conhecerem um bocadinho mais do trabalho que tem sido feito pela seleção, desde que o Lobos está, não com a Federação Portuguesa de Rugby, porque já está há vários anos com a seleção, com a Federação, mas quando entrou em 2019 para os séniores. Por isso, passo em inglês e espero que ninguém se chateie muito e obrigado a toda a gente por estar a ouvir. So, Portugal is just a couple of weeks from starting their Rugby World Cup campaign after successfully qualifying last November, in what was a great moment for the Portuguese oval community. In a team packed with potential and ambition, where can the Lobos go in the 2023 Rugby World Cup? To understand a bit better the mentality, strengths, strategies, and the road to the biggest tournament of the year, I have Luís Pissarra, Portugal's assistant coach, and someone who played in the 2007 Rugby World Cup in what was a Portuguese team first outing in the competition. Luís, welcome, e obrigado já agora, and thank you for having the time to talk with us. After almost 3 intense months of training, what can you tell us about the squad? Is the coaching staff happy?
Olá, Francisco. Thanks for the invitation. Yes, we've been training hard. We had 1 month in Lisboa, where we worked mainly like the physical aspects of the game, and we started introducing some of the concepts that we would like to get into the World Cup and preparing the first game mainly. We've been quite happy with the way that the players have been responding, not only in terms of the physical aspect, but also in terms of the skills and the way they've been growing into what we intend to be using in the games. Like we could have seen last weekend against the United States, that we managed to introduce a couple of things that are producing a better game, a faster game, and also some stuff in the defense that have been helping us a lot.
The players had time to rest and slowly come back to their form before June. What was the focus of the start in June? You told us it was a physical conditioning, but what were the main aspects that you found not lacking, but you needed to get high again before the World Cup?
We need to increase the strength and the power, because it's one thing that we lack, and especially when we play against very physical teams, that's for sure one aspect that we needed to improve. And working a lot in the gym, like the players are now we're having like a professional squad to prepare the World Cup, so they've been responding really well. They had great gains in terms of power, of strength, and so we're quite happy with the achievements that we had during that first month. After that, when we went to the Algarve, we started introducing more, keeping on having the preparation for the body, for the part of the conditioning. We start introducing much more the rugby aspects. We continue with the skills, but starting to introduce a lot of what could be said like the general movement of the game, what we intend to do, some specific aspects introducing. We managed to start developing all the stuff, all the lineouts, scrums, introducing a couple of game system that we want to build. So Algarve was much more rugby preparation than what it was in Lisboa. That was mainly physical preparation.
In the Rugby Europe Championship 2023, we saw a great Portuguese squad. In terms of conditioning, they were almost perfect. So what we're going to see in the World Cup is going to be a level above it or the same level?
For sure, we'll be playing a much different level that we play in the championship. So we'll be having Georgia. That's one team that we've been playing in the last years and that we've been constantly playing. And it's one team that when we reach the end of the game, that's when we see that we lack a bit of power, because with that type of game, with all the contact that they introduce into the game, in the end, they managed to win because of that. The same way that we beat like Romania and Spain, this year in the championship, because in the end we were much more stronger, we were much more fit. But the level that we will find in the World Cup, playing Wales, Fiji, Australia, it will be probably a level that none of the players have ever reached, have ever played. So we need to build that up much more, and the players are quite aware of that need, so that we can compete also in a different level.
Portugal, about that, Portugal made the decision only to play 2 official matches, one against the USA, another against Australia. Can you explain to us why the decision was made?
It wasn't quite. We wanted to play at least another match, but it wasn't easy because mainly all the other countries had already had their games prepared, and they already had their fixtures organized between themselves, and so we had quite the help of World Rugby to get us at least these 2 games, even though we tried to get games with top 14 or probably teams, but that wasn't possible. So, but we'll have those 2 test matches, but we'll still have, like we had in the Algarve, the training with Ireland, and we'll have another training with Samoa, so that will help us build up the team.
What can you tell us about those exercises with Ireland and Samoa? What did you take, you as a coach and the team, from it?
From Ireland, it was great, huh? Not only in terms of the technical aspect, but also we started to get in touch with the intensity that they introduced into the game and the speed, and that's Ireland is the number 1 in the world, so it's impossible to get any better than that. So the intensity that they managed to put us in the game, the intensity that we had to adapt, and also the speed of the game were really important for us to understand what we'll find when we'll play the bigger nations in the World Cup. Against Samoa, we'll hope to build the same structure as we did against Ireland. We had 2 different teams that we duplicated the 2 trainings. So we had like one moment with lineouts, one moment with scrum, then we had one moment of not game, but like a conditioned game, grabbing at one stage, then another bit of the game was with tackles, but always conditioned by, we started from a lineout, we started from a scrum, we started from a kickoff, always building specific stuff so that we can work what we intended, us and Ireland also.
After the exercise, were you happy with the level of the Portuguese team? Do you think we are in a better moment at the moment?
Yeah, and I think also the players felt that it was a great moment for them. So being able to train, or even to get in touch with such an intensity, to get in touch with such a good players with all that quality, made us get better during the day. So we had one group that was really, really impressive, that we did it really, really well. The other group, it was a bit below what we intended, but still we're developing, we're growing. We still have the game this weekend against Australia. We still have Samoa, so we're building up quite well, so that when we start against Wales, we can produce really, really good stuff.
About that, Wales, Georgia, Australia, and Fiji are Portugal's adversaries for the World Cup. Without revealing any secrets or hidden strategies, can you tell us what Portugal must and mustn't do against Wales and Fiji, for example?
They're completely different games, and one is the first, the other one is the last. So I think Fiji is always an unpredictable team, and also I think it quite depends on what's the status in that game. If they're qualified, if they're not qualified, because their mentality changes a bit according to what's their motivation. So it can be. I think that game we need to know what we can expect. We need to wait to see what will happen during the 4 matches of the World Cup. And Wales will be the first game for us, the second for Wales, the first for us. Probably Wales in that game will get not the first team, because they'll play Fiji in the first game, Australia in the third, so we'll get us in between. And we really want to start stronger. We really want to start strong the World Cup. We really want to start in an impressive way, and not only to make our fans really happy with us, but also to bring the attention of all the World Rugby into Portugal again.
About starting big, do you expect big support from the crowd in France, as it is one of the biggest Portuguese communities in the world?
We're sure that will happen. We're sure. Even when we played in 2007, it was a huge surprise. All the Portuguese community in France was really supportive. They were everywhere. The stadiums were packed, full of supporters. Everyone shouting for Portugal, and we really hope to be playing at home, even playing in France.
In that subject, we have a lot of players now that were born on France or moved very early in their lives to France. So how important is to show that the Portuguese rugby team is their rightful home? How big is it to show everyone that Portugal is more than a country and 10 million people that live next to the sea?
And it's quite impressive because, as you know, Portugal doesn't have a lot of players, doesn't have a lot of clubs, but still we managed to qualify for the second World Cup. There'll be other countries with much more players, much more clubs, with much more money getting into the game. But and it's quite impressive that we managed to get the second qualification and playing another World Cup in France. That's I think it's really important for us because, like I told you, we really hope to be playing at home. We have a lot of French born Portuguese descendant players, all the other boys that are also playing in France. So it's really good for the French community to see that we have much more quality than probably they think, and even the world community to start looking at our players that have a lot of quality and they could play almost in every country in the world, every club in the world.
You just said before that you were in the 2007 World Cup, which was Portugal's first, which was also held in France. Do you have any special memories that you remember from 2007? Sometimes we have a lot of them, but there's any special one that still you remember every day or every week?
Yeah, there's a really special one, and I think that's one thing that will stay with me forever. It will be when we arrived to Saint Etienne, to the first game against Scotland. We were really concentrated in the bus, just thinking on the game and focusing. And then when we're arriving near the stadium, it was packed with cars, a lot of Portuguese flags, and we couldn't believe it because we're not used to such a big crowd. So, and when we were getting in the bus into the stadium, it was a huge crowd of fans and our families right in front just shouting at us, and we really lost our composure. We lost the focus. We started saying goodbye on the windows and knocking on the windows, waving to everyone. So it was really a special moment because it was really a huge surprise to see that we're really not alone. We knew our families were with us, but we found out that there were much more people with us than we expected. And I hope that can be also a huge memory for these players and for all the group. When we arrive to the stadiums, we can see a huge crowd and packed stadiums to support us.
And about that, what knowledge and insight from that experience did you pass to your players now?
There's stuff. Well, the game has changed and a lot of things have changed. It's been a long time since 2007. They need to look forward and to build up for their achievements. Although we speak of some experience that we had in the past, like how to live all these months together, like living in a house packed almost with 50 people. The good things that happen, the bad things, the injuries, the guys that are not sleeping well, guys that are tired, guys that are injured, and that's probably some of the stuff that we talk about. It's how to keep the spirit up and not to give, like, when not such a good things happen, to bring the group down. We always live with that. So living with a group, that's normal. Some can play, some will play, some will start, some will be replacements, some won't even be called, so won't be in the group. So that's hard. It's really hard after so many months working together and doing huge efforts, and some boys won't make it. So, but it's important that even those that don't make it, they stick with the group and they'll be really supportive, and they can help the ones that will go into the pitch, because at the end of the day, we're all a group and we all need to stick together.
You were saying that the game changed, and I ask you this: how would you describe this Lobos team? How do you describe to the people the way we play? Because review has a very common phrase for us. It's every week they play, and that's because of the amazing ball movement, and that's etc. But how can you describe us the way that Portugal plays at the moment?
No, I think that we're fast and unpredictable. It's the best thing, and even at some stage, everyone expects for us to watch at our backs, but even our forwards are producing really, really good stuff. We don't play 8 plus backs; we play as an entire group. But I can really say that we're really unpredictable in the way we play and with the speed that we manage to get into the game, and that's how we want to beat our opponents.
You say unpredictable, and that's a very good word. But it's an unpredictability, but effective unpredictability, because most of the times you went in with the try or next to the try line. So how did this coaching staff transform this team to have such a good forward pack and such a fearsome backline unit, and as a team, as a collective? How did you, since not 2019 until now, change this? What were the inputs? What was the vision? Can you tell us a bit about it?
Like in the beginning, Portuguese forwards were always thinking not good things about them and always expected to be dominated by the opponents, and that was a huge work to make, not only produce good stuff, but to make the players believe that they can compete with the best, even that we have a problem in genetics because we're not big and we always will suffer from that, but we have our weapons, and one of our weapons is even not being sometimes not as big as our opponents, but will be much faster, very courageous, and we can still build a lot of stuff and still dominate big pack of forwards with our qualities.
And this is true because if you the people who are watching the show go see the Portugal against Romania game in 2023, or if you want 2022 with Georgia, and see how the forward pack, Portuguese forward pack, equalize those two, which are big, two of the biggest forward packs in Europe. As for the main goals for the Portuguese staff, do you have any? Do you want to share with us? It's a secret for now. What can you tell us
about what the stuff?
The World Cup, the main goals. If you have main goals already input for the World Cup.
There's some stuff that we like to stay with us, to stay inside the group. But I'm sure that also there's a little bit of craziness into this group of players, and a bit of craziness that we can introduce to them to make them believe in every game. So I'm pretty sure that every game we'll get into in the World Cup, we'll go into producing good stuff. In the end of the game, we'll see what will happen, but I'm pretty sure that we'll compete a lot, that will score huge tries, because we're a team that scores a lot of points. So I'm sure that we'll be impressive in the way we'll play, and the crowd will really love our game.
I know you still have all to play in 2023, but do you think there's enough depth to take Portugal to the 2027 Rugby World Cup in Australia? What's your opinion?
That's a thing that we must talk after this, but we need to see what will happen after this World Cup, which players will quit. We have some guys that are already probably thinking on stop playing, or at least stop playing for the national team. Some of our Portuguese playing in the Portuguese Championship might start thinking also in some of their professional careers, because they're not professionals in terms of when they play the national championship. So I think it must be well talked. It must be a good talk, presented a good project, so that a lot of these guys, especially the younger or middle age players, can still believe that we can still make it to the next World Cup. And I think that must be a talk that must be prepared right after this, because now the focus is on France.
I have already asked this you in 2021, 2019, 18, 17, but what is like to teach and train a team that is so young? And most of these guys are not kids, but are very young adults, and so they are more crazy, more less not preoccupied with responsibility and so on. What is like to teach and train this type of team?
Because what's good in this team having some more experienced players with 30s and a couple years, and having such young kids, is that you've got a good mixture. So you've got some good pieces of experience with the older players, and you've got all the craziness and all the unexpected from all the youngsters, and so that builds into a very good stuff in our group. I think that's one of our strengths, is having such a wide group in terms of age, because it brings everyone to get together, and when we play our game, we try to get a bit of experience and craziness, and that's why I tell you that we're really unpredictable, because in the middle of the experience, in the middle of the craziness, really usually something's really good will happen, and they've been happening with us.
And it's true. For the people who don't know, Luís Pissarra guided the Portuguese U20 to 3 European titles and almost came on top to ascend to the World Rugby U20 competition, the main one. So about it, and in 2019, you were invited to be part of the coaching staff of Portuguese. Was it the right decision for you in hindsight? Now looking back, do you feel happy with the decision you made to transition from the U20 to the seniors?
Oh yes, it's been a huge experience. It's been a huge challenge. Although I really like to coach that age grade. It's really fun. It's really fun to train such an age grade and challenge the young players and preparing them for some stuff. They get the stuff the stuff that you tell them. They try to produce it really fast. And doing that with some older players, that's a bit of a difference. Sometimes they try to challenge you in a different way, but that's really good, because it helps you to grow as a coach, as a person. And all the things that we've been learning here together, we've been developing almost in the last 4 years, have been such a big challenge in terms of, not only in terms of rugby, but in terms of growing as a person. So huge challenge, and for sure the best choice.
And did you have to change as a coach when after 5 years? Did you have changed, or you just tweaked a bit in some areas?
Oh no, change for sure. Learning some stuff that you agree, some stuff that you don't agree, but for sure, it makes you think in different things. It makes you think that some things that you were trying to introduce to the players were right, some were wrong. For sure, it makes you think and makes you wonder what you can do better and what you can do better in the future, not only for this group, but for future groups. That's, for me, that's what was really more important. And it's been really a good challenge. Sometimes good, sometimes not that good, huh? But for sure a challenge that makes you grow up.
And that's good to know. Luís, we are at the end of our interview. Care to send and leave a message to the fans at home? You can send one in English and one in Portuguese, so everyone can be happy.
Não, que agradecer a toda a gente que nos tem apoiado nestes últimos tempos, e não tenho dúvida que esta seleção tem trazido outra vez uma grande união à comunidade de rugby portuguesa, e acho que isso é o objetivo principal de uma seleção nacional, é mostrar orgulho, fazer com que as pessoas se sintam orgulhosas daquilo que é feito, daquilo que é produzido, das vitórias que conseguimos, e sentir esse apoio e sentir essa proximidade muito perto, e sentir que as pessoas nos reconhecem e que partilham e que gostam muito de nós e que partilham este grande amor por esta modalidade e pelas conquistas que conseguimos. Acho que isso é o que eu sinto que é mais importante. Numa comunidade tão pequena, conseguimos realmente tornar-nos mais próximos, porque muitas vezes, apesar de sermos poucos, não somos realmente unidos, e neste momento sinto que realmente a comunidade portuguesa está unida, e vamos ver se conseguirá manter assim no futuro, porque será importante para, como estavas também a referir, para o apuramento para a Austrália.
Muito bem. Luís, obrigado por teres vindo cá.
Francisco, um abraço, pá. Muito obrigado.
Toda a gente que nos ouviu, continue a acompanhar. Para a semana vamos ter outros convidados. O Luís Pissarra agora vai estar ocupado com outras coisas. Esperemos vê-lo no Mundial. Aliás, vamos vê-lo no Mundial. Estamos a ver a tua cara no Mundial, porque normalmente vocês estão lá em cima na cabine bem guardados e à prova de muita irritação, mesmo assim, a alma passa cá para fora. Obrigado por teres vindo e vemos uma próxima. Boa sorte, Luís.
Um abraço, Zisco. Obrigado por este bocado. Obrigado.
Ok, eu depois termino isto. Eu vou.